If you had asked me a year ago who my best friend was, I would have said my sister, Elle. Without hesitation, she was the one who shared my childhood secrets, the one I stayed up late with, whispering about our dreams for the future, the one I thought would always be there for me no matter what. But I was wrong, because one night, in a drunken fit of jealousy, she pushed me down the stairs, and I was 4 months pregnant. I can still remember the moment my feet left the ground, the way the air rushed past me as I tumbled down, my hands flying to my stomach in pure animalistic panic. The sickening snap of my wrist as I hit the floor, the screams, the chaos, the unbearable silence before the pain consumed me. And then, darkness. When I woke up in the hospital, my wrist was shattered, my body bruised and broken, but I didn't care about any of that. There was only one question in my mind. Was my baby still alive? I never thought my sister would become my enemy. I never thought my parents would turn their backs on me. And I never thought I would have to choose between my family and my own survival. But that night changed everything. And when my parents threatened to disinherit me if I pressed charges, I knew there was no going back. This is the story of how I lost the family I was born into and built the one I truly deserved. For the past 2 years, my husband, Newton, and I had been trying to have a baby. The journey had been agonizing. One miscarriage after another, each loss breaking us a little more, and then, against all odds, it happened. I was finally pregnant. But I was terrified. We had been through so much pain already. Newton and I decided to keep the pregnancy a secret until we were sure everything was going well. Not even my parents knew. Not even my sister. Then came Elle's party. Elle had been through hell herself. A year ago, she had been engaged to the love of her life, planning the wedding of her dreams. And then, the night before the ceremony, she found out her fiancé had cheated on her. He didn't even have the decency to tell her himself. He sent one of his friends to break the news. She was devastated, humiliated. To cope, she threw herself into her career, working harder than ever. And now, she had finally been promoted. She wanted to celebrate. She needed me to be there. I didn't want to go. I was exhausted. Pregnancy was draining me. But she begged. "You never come to family gatherings anymore," she had said. "I miss you." I felt guilty. So I agreed. But I didn't want to take the attention away from her. I wore a loose dress, even used shapewear to hide my bump. For one night, I just needed to blend in. At first, everything was fine. My family laughed, drank, danced. My husband arrived after work, checking on me every so often. I was tired but managing. Then Aunt Mia sat next to me. She studied me closely, tilting her head. "You're glowing," she said suddenly. "Are you pregnant?" My heart stopped. I tried to laugh it off, but Aunt Mia wasn't buying it. She reached out, placed her hands on my belly, and gasped. "Oh my God, you are pregnant!" I begged her not to say anything. I told her it wasn't the right time. But Aunt Mia had always been the loud one in the family. She clapped her hands and shouted, "Everyone! I have amazing news!" I watched in horror as she announced my pregnancy to the entire party. The room fell silent for a moment, then erupted in cheers. My parents cried, my cousins hugged me, and my relatives showered me with congratulations. They all knew how hard I had fought for this baby, but not everyone was happy. I glanced across the room and saw Elle standing there, holding her wine glass frozen. She smiled, but it wasn't real. It was forced. Elle avoided me for the rest of the party. I tried to talk to her, to apologize for the way the announcement happened, but she brushed me off. "Whatever," she muttered. "I guess you got what you wanted." Her words stung. Later that night, I felt nauseous and went inside to sit down. The party was too loud, too hot, too overwhelming. I just needed a moment to breathe. That's when Elle found me again. She had been drinking. A lot. Her eyes were glossy, and her smile was twisted with something dark. "Are you really pregnant?" she asked. I frowned. "Of course I am." She took a sip of her wine. "Weird. You didn't even tell Mom. But I guess that's typical of you. Always making everything about yourself." "Elle, that's not fair." "Maybe this pregnancy will end in a miscarriage too," she said coldly. Her words hit me like a slap. My hands trembled as I clutched my belly. "How dare you say that?" I whispered, my voice shaking with rage and hurt. She rolled her eyes. "You stole my night. Again, just like always." I turned away. I couldn't deal with her jealousy, not now. I started heading downstairs, desperate to get away from her. And then she shoved me. I felt her hands on my back. I gasped as my feet slipped, as my balance disappeared. The world tilted. The stairs rushed up to meet me. The only thing I could do was protect my baby. I twisted midair, wrapping my arms around my belly. And then, impact. A sickening snap. Pain exploded in my wrist. I screamed. Elle was arrested. My parents begged me to drop the charges, even threatened to disinherit me. I didn't care. I pressed charges anyway. Months later, I gave birth to a beautiful, healthy baby boy. And then one night, there was a knock at my door. Opened it to see my mother smiling. "We just had to come meet the baby." I stared at her in disbelief. "You lost that right the night you chose her over me," I said. Newton stepped forward. "If you don't leave, we're calling the police." My parents paled. They left, and I never looked back. Because family isn't about blood, it's about love, and I had finally found mine. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell 2S.